Right, good evening. Welcome to the Community Development Committee. Before we start the meeting, I'd like to remind members of the public that this is a meeting does not have public question time. So, the meeting only discuss items of the agenda after I'm talked to. Yeah. Right, we're going to apologies for absence.
Councillors Barras and Taylor and Councillor Watson were not on this committee, which I had intended, but she can't make.
These disclosures of interest and grant dispensations.
Yes, Chair, I'm speaking to my own report later on in this committee meeting, but I'm actually a resident of the road that's on in the report, that's mentioned in the report. Just was that a dispensation for this evening, please?
It's no problem with that. Minutes of previous community development committee.
Agree the minute, agree the minute.
Whatever agreed on.
Okay, well, great.
Yes. Actions arising from these previous meetings, none. Right, straight into the question 5. Website, town centre, cycling corridor.
Well, Chair, thank you so much for allowing us to present this evening. When I wrote this report, I was hoping, or I thought it would be going to the Environment Committee, but I'm so pleased to go to this one, to be quite honest, because it is a community issue. So I hope all of the members, I expect you've all read the report. And within the report, I've lodged several ideas of mine and reasons that I believe the alteration to the Northern is at this moment in time is not the correct thing for the county council to do. The whole idea of it is to try to have a cycle route which reaches from Blythe Town Centre to the brand new station. Now, within the report, I've explained that there's already a map available from the county council, and for those who've got my report electronically, there's a link within it to the map. And the map shows the Sustrans safe routes that were developed by the county council just a few years ago. So between 2003 by Blythe Valley Council and 2013 by the Liberal administration at County Hall. That was the sort of time scale of that set of operations. And the map has marked on it the safe routes which all lead to the new bridge that takes you over to the station. Now, I'm not, within my report, I'm not saying that in the future, this cycle track shouldn't exist. I'm not saying that the project should be stopped ad infinitum. That's within the report. What I'm asking you to do tonight is consider the report and to, within the local transport plan explanation to the this goes off to the county council in a few weeks. Explain to the county council that we don't wish, town council, if you all agree, to have the road narrowed until at least the bypass road is opened for Cookham Road. Because the whole idea of removing the right turn pockets on Cookham Road and narrowing the road by a third will just increase traffic standing still on congestion on the road and lead to more and more fumes in the air. And we only have one site where we'll measure the fumes as a county council and town council, and they're pretty high. But really, they'll be right up and down Cookham Road. You would need to take measurements of the pollution that will increase if the road is narrowed. Now, when a bypass comes, when a bypass comes, the traffic will be split right across the network. The link to Tynedale Drive up the bypass, and there's a link on Evening Drive on the proposed bypass. So the network will be much larger than it currently is. Currently, we have a confined network that leads you out of Blythe via Cookham Road or Laverick Road. And I've explained what's going on in Laverick Road within the report. Now, all of you that are sitting here and have your own ideas of what that congestion will cause, because some people it's sitting here, have real interest in nature, which will be affected by the additional air pollution. Some people have an interest in people, some people have an interest in, you may all be cyclists, I don't know if you are or not. But if you are a cyclist at this moment in time, would you want to go on Coupland Road? And if you're a cyclist, would you want to cycle alongside a much narrowed Coupland Road? Because without a doubt, on all the available information from the county council, it's the busiest urban highway in the whole of the county of Northumberland. So you can imagine what it's like when standing traffic right along the road. I also have a major concern that, and I've put it within the report, when you get in your car, and I think most people here drive, when you get in your car to go shopping, you can go anywhere. Now, would you want to come if you're going to sit half an hour to turn into Aldi's car park from the top of the road, or would you want to actually sit in that traffic to go to shops and buy? I don't think you would. I think you'd just say, "Oh, I'm going somewhere else. I'm going to Burlington or Crompton or Ashington, because it's much easier for me." That's a personal preference, but I believe that once you're in your car, you can shop anywhere. Now, the problem we've got with the increased congestion through the removal of safety islands and right-hand turns would mean that it could and may, and could, I believe it will, damage jobs and commerce on Coupland Road. And that's where the commerce of Blythe has moved to. It used to be in the town centre, it's now on Coupland Road. We've got a 2 mile long high street, and it's going to be really awkward. There's another small issue that when Coupland Road joins Croft Road, a number of people park on the highway. So the narrowing of Coupland Road to get the cycleway and down at that end will really cause problems, because even if you invest in opening up your garden and paving it, etc., and really shallow gardens that these people have or live in the lower part of the back of Hodgett Road scheme, if you like, and down towards the turning off into Coupland Quay. They have very short gardens. You can get a small car on, but otherwise you've got to park on the highway. So if the road's narrowed and people are parking on the highway, it really will cause problems. The suggestion from the county council, and the link to the electronic version of the report, is that that you won't be able to pull up to what we know as the traditional giveway to turn right or left out of any of the turnings on Coupland Road. You have to sit behind the cycleway. Cyclists will have preference on Coupland Road, on a narrowed Coupland Road. Currently, you can't see down the street in some of the places when you're turning right or left. It's really difficult at the end of the cycle cemetery. It's difficult at the end of Bridewell Road because of the way the church wall comes out, and it's quite difficult a bit higher up. If you were looking, you can't turn right out of town your drive. If you could, it would be really difficult there as well. But the other streets that are offered, like Small Estate near the dip and Taylor Street, they'll be cut off as a community. This traffic standing all the way up and down Coupland Road, which is what could happen if this was introduced, will cut off the communities north and south who live on Coupland Road. And it's a really difficult thing to do. But in the back, I've placed some options. I'd just like this committee to consider the options and actually suggest to the county council that we do not follow on with this scheme, which we have had severes on all of this summer, by the way. But every day this summer for surveying, marking the highway and everything else. We do not go ahead with this scheme until they've actually built the bypass and see if that bypass reduces the traffic of Coupland Road. Thank you very, very much, Chair.
Has anybody got any questions about that? Any ideas?
I would just like to agree with Grant, to be honest with you. We've never wanted this, we never have, so why? There is other alternatives we could do, and I don't think it's right that what should be. So I totally agree with Grant.
Brian?
I have to agree with you for once.
Do you not feel well, Brian?
No, I do agree with you. I think we have a cycle path.
Should have pushed it.
Sorry?
Nothing, I'm just talking about, but not you.
Hang on.
What we had a code of conduct there. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what did you say there, Pat?
I wasn't talking about.
Just
you, I was
essential
talking
agreement
about-
with it.
Oh, it's okay.
I was just
I
agreeing
know,
with
but I
the
was just
fact of it.
talking, that's all. But yeah, I do agree. I think we have a cycle route we can sort of, expand and, maintain. There's nobody in Cooper board that wants it. And I don't think it's the right thing for us to do. And I do agree with it. And like I said, you know, we should look at maintaining the cycle routes we've got and upgrading to look after them, the public that want to use them on Cooper Road. Like you said, I've just come from work down there and it took us 10 minutes to get from as the roundabout to the Percy Arms. So, but the is good news. They are starting the relief road. It was diggers. Like I said, the picture of the diggers starting to dig up. So there is some good news on that side.
Don, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, I can support the idea of not touching Cooper Road till we've got the relief road done. So once that relief, particularly the Chase Farm, once that's there, it'll take a lot of the local traffic of Cooper Estate, Cooper Farm Estate, it'll be able to go around the back of the school. If you want to get to school or to Asda or the coffee shop or whatever, at the moment you have to go on Cooper Road. I can say once that relief road's done, it will take a lot of. What I'm puzzled about is why we're talking about this now. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but that scheme won't go on to the local transport plan. That scheme is government money, isn't it? That it'll come through like a town Future High Streets Fund or the town deal. It'll come through the town forum meetings, I would have thought. But you won't be spending like highways committee money on that scheme. That's government money specifically for cycle paths. It can only be spent on cycle paths. And I'm not sure quite what rules are on that, because the last, when that report came out about 2 years ago, at the town forum, I haven't heard of anything else since then. There haven't been, as far as I'm aware, any other consultations or, so I'm not quite sure why it's sort of raised its head now. Because it's not something that should go in the local transport plan, as far as I can see, because it is a different pot of money altogether. And I've no doubt once got the marketplace sorted out and, you know, Bridge Street and everything else, then there'll be consultations on the possible cycleway routes then. Unless something else has cropped up, I haven't seen anything at county or on the town forum that says we should be discussing this now. I don't know quite why it's come up now. And I don't know how we would feed into it other than through the town forum. We haven't got any reports to consider, or we're not being consulted or anything. It'll only be the town forum where this will get raised. Don't think that will go to a county's highways committee meeting or anything like that. But could be wrong, I don't know. No, thank you.
Grant, Sandra then and Daniel.
Just to explain things that John's mentioned there, the reason that it's been brought forward is there's been so much activity over the summer with the severes. They've been up and down Cooper Road all summer. The local residents, and I'm sure Brian's been contacted on it, and there'll be no doubt about it, has been contacted on it, have not let up one bit. There are markings, heights, and roofs and all sorts of things on Cooper Road now, which is to alter this. And as for only being a town forum item, this is an A-class highway. It has to go in front of the highways committee of the county council. And to alter an A-class highway, it has to be in the LTP. You can't just go and cut down an A-class highway by a third and not speak about it at the county council level. Although the finance will be coming from levelling up funding, it's still a highways operation, and they don't ignore that.
Andrew?
Jeff's here.
For many years, I cycled to work to Ashton Hospital. occasionally using Cooper Road, and believe me, there's plenty other places to go other than Cooper Road. You can cut through from where I live, like near the town centre of Lyme, and get it back. So I can't see the reasoning behind doing this scheme with Cooper Road. The other thing is, I see very few cyclists on Cooper Road. I don't know about you, but I see very few of them.
There isn't any, we live on Cooper Road, once in a Preston Guild.
So I think it's like a vanity scheme, isn't it, really? We can do this, just because you can't do something doesn't say you should do it. And I think this is a ridiculous scheme and it should be like on that, irrespective of whether, if we ever get the relief road, which I hope I live long enough to see it. But, so I just think it's a non-starter.
Daniel?
I would say that the members who serve Cooper Road, we always say that they've got the residents' best interests at heart, and that they receive all the communication regarding the feelings towards cycle path. However, Councillor Potter is also correct in saying that the funding for this is coming nationally from the previous and the current government at the moment. And the councils, including ours, the county council, were told by the government, the two governments, that either use the money now or you lose it and you'll never receive, well, you may receive it again, but you'll certainly use it now. So I think that's why the councils, including our county, are pushing towards building these cycle routes through Glyne. So just make all members aware is that the counties are being told across England, use this money as Tyneside had for theirs, or you're not getting it.
Can I come in? Sorry.
Fiona?
Kath wants to come back on that one, so she can come in before me, it's all right.
I mean, yes, the county did get the money, has gotten the money to put on to cycling routes all the way through. That's true. But they're not communicating with the public. Do they want it? And that's the big problem, because I'm constantly getting emails and phone calls regarding the cycle routes through the Croft Road. They're putting it in Bodycar Terrace without talking to the resident. It's now 40 weeks on Renwick Road because of the cycling route. I mean, Blythe is just literally closed up altogether because they're doing things for the cycle routes now, which it's so unfair because they're not communicating with people. We need residents to respond. We need them to know. And if you did ask them, a lot of people out there, I know like cycling, but a lot of people out there will not want the cycle paths put in. They put one down Beaumont Street. Nobody knows who was asked. I wasn't asked. It just ended up it was there. So, sorry.
Just come back on that, Chair.
Come back.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kath. The council should be communicating with the residents. However, I think that down the line, the councils and the governments are also preparing to say that in the future, cars are going to be used less on the road, and that they're putting these provisions in the future when cycling will become more mainstream. Personally, I don't cycle much anymore, so it's not for me. However, I don't know what the future is going to hold.
Like, on that point, I do find it somehow, I don't know if funny or ironic's the word, but the fact that the roads are getting closed off for cars and it's cyclists who can use it, they're putting a cycle path in, and currently cyclists are the only one who can use it, or walkers. But I do agree, obviously, they're trying to give something for the future, not now, but we need to be aware that it's the residents now that are affected, and at the moment there's far too many cycle paths that residents don't want. So in general, I do agree. I think for Cooper Road it's not necessary, and like Councillor Potts, I wasn't sure why it was coming as part of the LTP, because I understood it was government money and I wasn't sure why we'd have the effect on that, but you've explained that, so that makes sense. Before we decide on this, because obviously we all seem to be in agreement that we don't want the cycle path for Cooper Road, can we find out from county whether it has to be part of the LTP before agreeing it as one of, because we can only give 3 options before confirming that this would be one of our options? Can we find out if it's actually valid for the LTP? Is that an option?
You're saying it wouldn't be one of our options?
No, I'm saying, obviously, if we agree it as one of our options, and then they say it's not valid for the LTP, is that us losing something? So because you don't think it's part of the LTP, you said, so why would we agree it today as an option instead of something else if it's actually not for the LTP and it's the highways in general? So I'm just wondering if we can get some clarification on that, that's all.
I think Elaine's got some.
All I was gonna say was that, the deadline to submit the priorities is Friday, the 27th of September. And we do have another community development committee meeting scheduled for the 26th of September. So that's all I'm saying.
Jeff.
Can I just mention something there though? I can understand where Grant's coming from and I can understand where John's coming from. The money is already there for cycle paths, so it won't be included in the LTP programme. But we are concerned about Cooper Road and we don't want the cycle path on Cooper Road. To me, it should go around the back end of the riverside, which is what Margaret's always brought up. So I think that's an area where we should be looking at, not Cooper Road. So although, I mean, I know it's not on the LTP, but at least we need to make our voices heard through that because it is a deep concern. The money's already there from Sustrans, from the government, to do the cycle track. But what we're saying, somewhere it's got to line up with the LTP programme, although it won't go into that, is the Cooper Road itself. It could make it more dangerous than what it is now. That's all I'd say. So,
Jeff.
you know.
Want to say something in name Grant?
So the money is coming out of the sustainable transport budget. so
That's right.
The LTPs, regardless of, and the people who make these decisions is the cabinet, that will put it in the budget.
Mhm.
And to the council, and scrutiny might have a chance to say something. But what annoys me about all of this is that it's, you know, consultation, there hasn't been any. I mean, you all saw my reaction to the people who were included in the email. You see my reaction when they started on about
Where's the money, Jeff?
complete and absolute, that Bondycard terrace thing, it's just ridiculous. And I still haven't seen any cyclists on the Waterloo Road bit, all of that screwed the thing up for once. So when you speak to them, it's all, well, it's government money. And it's like, well, I would rather send it back than use it, to be honest with you.
Exactly.
People do not, you know, I am a 68-year-old man. And if anybody thinks that when I can't use my car, I'm gonna get on my bike and cycle down to Morrison's to do my shopping. I mean, what kind of, anyway, don't, for God's sake, don't poke the beast. So all I would say is
That County, Jeff.
that I think what we need to do is, I think we all agreed that we shouldn't be narrowing Cooper
Yes.
Road. We shouldn't be installing cycle tracks. There is no one can produce any evidence that the people who live there who are actually going to be affected by it actually want it. I mean, if they brought out a huge consultation and 500 people came back and said, yes, I think this is brilliant, I want cyclists outside my front door, then fine, but I think it's a waste of money. And it's because they've got the money and they've got to spend it. It isn't about what the residents of Blythe want or what we
Not
think.
spend the money.
It's about, we've got this money and if we don't spend it, they'll take it off us. Well, have it back. You know, we should make a stand, right at the council and say, the residents of Blythe don't actually want this many miles of cycle track in Blythe. They don't. They don't. And I went to Time Out the other day and coming back, as you know, between the Gibraltar Rock and got that lovely new cycle track. There's cyclists on the road, slowing us drivers down. Well, so why are we going so slowly? Because there's two cyclists cycling up the flipping road. There's a £3 million cycle track right there. And they're using the road. So what I would do is I'd bring a bylaw in that says if there's a cycle track there and you're on the road, the cyclist gets fined if they use the road instead of the cycle track.
Yeah.
We spent millions and millions of pounds on these things. That it's just not, sustainable, it's not sustainable, and it isn't value for money. And it isn't wanted by the majority of people, even the cyclists.
Mhm.
So.
Here.
Okay, Jeff,
I was
we'll have
trying to-
Grant,
Just
Brandon and Sandra.
on the reasons, I'll come across the reasons. The reason at the forum, and I had much to say to the cycling officer at the forum, and he wasn't from Sustrans, he's a hired-in contractor by the county council.
Mhm.
I had all sorts to say to him about this project. The reason for it is to try to move National Cycle Route 1 onto Coopen Road. You will have currently, I walk my dog along Cycle Route 1, which is in a beautiful area along the riverside. When the tide's out, there's hundreds of birds there, eating worms and all sorts of things. We meet loads, mate, not just one or two, in the summertime, cyclists from the continent. They come over, they do Cycle Route 1. I don't know where it eventually takes you to, but I believe it starts somewhere near home. So it's, it's a massive piece of cycle infrastructure. I've suggested within my report that the move it into the industrial estate, because there's been a landslip, which Councillor Richardson had some repairs done. The repairs have been vandalised as well, so I think it's terrible. But to try to stop people actually falling over the edge, the storm last year, one of those big storms, washed the edge of this cycleway away. It has to be moved, but it could be moved onto the industrial estate. And the reason for moving onto the industrial estate is the fact that that's on the side of the road that the cyclists need to be on to pick up, Cycle Route 1 that runs down the ramp and then down a further ramp to take them on to Ashington and beyond, wherever it ends up. And I've said that within my report. We'll have a report from a member of the public who is a cyclist. I think you've all seen that. And it's a leading light, by what's in his report, of a cycling organisation that's heavily using the roads. And he agrees that cyclists shouldn't be on Coopen Road. And he's a cyclist. This is the guy who probably wears those shoes that you can't. You can't stop your bike and put your foot down because they're locked into the blooming cycles. So so if an expert in cycling, I'm not a cyclist because I keep tell you I fall off bikes all the time. If we hire a bike and on a holiday, I'm on the deck twice, and that's the truth, isn't it? Because I just get dizzy and fall off. So this cyclist is saying roughly what I'm saying. You should keep the cycles off Coopen Road and move Cycle Route 1 along the industrial estate. And that would be an easy and much cheaper job to do. And I personally think a painted white line would do it. Because there's not hundreds of cyclists, lots of cyclists in the summer on the road, but there's not that many where cars couldn't, go around quite easily, or vans or lorries or whatever. I've also mentioned one other thing that might help a little bit, and a lot of local drivers use it, and that's the entrance of Chain Ferry Road and the exit at the traffic lights up the Bevside. Councillor Davey here was in charge of the Capital Works Committee, would you? And they had Coopen Road at the top end altered to have the traffic, to try and help the traffic by verging the traffic in. And then had the road on Chain Ferry Road opened up on the industrial estate. Now, county councillors sitting here who can influence the highways committee. What it needs, in my eyes, is just two signs to say alternative route to Bevside, alternative route to Blyth. And in the future, it may need a mini roundabout opposite the end of Chain Ferry Road. It has a mini roundabout in the centre of Chain Ferry Road currently. Now, if it had that, there may be, along with the actual bypass, there may be a greater split of traffic across the network. And it's just about getting traffic across the network will lower traffic on people road and therefore lower the congestion and the pollution that goes on. But that's just my suggestions within the report. And everybody will have other suggestions that would be great and probably far better than that.
We'll have going a bit long here with this meeting.
Just a bit.
Alexandra and then Brian. I don't know if you want to just ask anything,
I'm not on this meeting,
right?
but I'm agreeing with Jeff.
I have three questions and then we'll have to bring it to a close this one because it's going on a bit.
Well, just to be succinct, I understand what Daniel's saying about the women, but to be perfectly honest, spending money now in the following hope that we're suddenly all going to take all our rights as an exercise in futility. It's like spending the money now just in case. It's like buying a frock that's too little and hoping you're going to dye it into it. It isn't going to happen. So why spend millions of pounds on something that might happen in the future, but when there's an alternative to it, which is going to be much cheaper, I just think it's so good when you have to have that. And I think we should object strongly to this.
Right.
Chainferry Road, I've asked in the past about that, that's a private road, isn't it?
Yes.
No, it's really private from,
I think it is
and that's a port.
because all the lights are being cut down, I can't put new lights in. So I've asked through the town council, it was Dave that got the answer that we couldn't do that. How would that, just your experience from being with your position at county, how would that affect that?
I believe that the lights on Shane Ferry Road at that end, because it's actually a bridge. It sits on legs. And I think that's the reason it's not on. They've never ever fed a cable under that bridge. I think that's the reason why. I think that's the only reason why there's no lights on Shane Ferry Road. Because I believe it's only private from where it turns into the Port of Blythe. And that's where the extension of the Bates Wharf is part of their infrastructure.
I mean, I might be got wrong information, but it's just like, that's all, that whole road was. That's why we couldn't, fix the lights.
It's literally on the end of the.
Yeah.
So it's not literally with the port.
But I would, if it, hypothetically speaking, if that's a private road, how would it be? Yeah, that's one.
Sorry, I missed that question.
How would we be able to link that into the cycle?
Oh, it's already in the
Yeah.
cycle route, because if you recall, a few years ago, a piece of you originally went in at the end of Hodgins Road and followed the cycle route all along the end.
Yes, you come around the back of
What is now Bates Wharf. When you passed the sewage pump, the water pumping station, came up onto the side of the river, but a piece fell into the river. So if you go down, I tell you can see it, if you walk to the end of Chainferry Road where the gate is, turn right, follow the footpath onto where the water pumping station is. And as you come to the rising ground, as you see the
Right.
it's over on your right. And I think that's why the site is now used Chainferry Road, and on a map that's on the bottom of here, if you go on your computer from the member of the public, you'll see where it actually comes in. And that's not a very bad. So, you know, it continued on past the water treatment work. Now we have a look, and you can see where it's made up with tarmac. Where the.
I've used it quite a lot with the dog. Oh, thank you.
Grant, from the ferry corner up Crawford Street, all the way up to the school.
Yeah.
The Port Blythe on that road.
Sorry?
The Port Blythe on that road.
The port, oh yes, they do.
Yeah,
That's
that's
not this road.
All right, so that, when you see the Chainferry Road, that's what I thought you were going to, that one.
From where the cadets are.
Oh, from that bridge.
Yeah.
But I thought you meant the other one, you know, the other
I know
one.
what you mean, yeah.
Want to ask you a question? You still want to ask a question?
No.
Right, so anyway, so do you want, Martin to put a letter in to the county council agreeing that towards, Grant's like motion, what he's put out, for saying that we don't want any, cycle path.
Are we having a vote?
There's three conclusions, Chair. It's not in your report. You know, if the committee agrees with those conclusions, But we can then get like, I'll make this something.
I would rather just send the money back to the one.
Shall we use it on better things?
Any all agree to that, Ian?
Yeah,
Okay.
And is this the appropriate place or not?
good.
That was a question before.
Yes, it was.
So it's actually on the agenda.
Right, okay.
No, but it won't go into the local transport plan.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
I think it's just getting the message across to the, council about cycle path and stuff.
Yeah.
We don't want it.
No, I would send that too.
I'll send them.
Yeah.
What was his name, Jeff? The one that sent it again, Malcolm or somebody? Or Mike, or somebody. I haven't got my phone on this, so.
This grant suggested is send it to the chief executive and I'll say.
Send them report. Yeah. Don't agree with it. See what doing on.
The name we did in the presentation yesterday.
Yeah.
We have to contact details to the different to deal with this walking and safety infrastructure.
Should tell you after that.
Deal with it, Thursday.
I'm looking probably, I've got a note here for somebody. I'll find it.
Well, thank
Oh, there it's got it now. Right, on to the next one. That's the second corridor. And this is, request for a resident parking zone in Beaconsfield Street. About resident parking. Well, I got back in touch with them, and says that, town council couldn't do anything about that, we don't do anything about that. But we're getting what here from Northumberland County Council, and they do not fund residential parking schemes through the LTP, although we receive regular requests to introduce introduction of resident permanent schemes as a means of easy parking in residential areas. These are usually funded through members' local improvement schemes allocated by town councils or parish councils. Is the primary aim of the resident permit parking was to protect residents who live in adjacent to close settlement centres from external parking pressures. They generally do not solve any majority of the resident parking issues, and many circumstances create further ongoing problems. It will be noted that there will be no right for the park in front of any particular way on the highway, and can only legally right a driver as is to pass and repass, you know what that means, to pass and repass. But anyway, they're not going to support any residential parking in Beaconsfield Street. And I think Eileen applied for it last 3 years ago, and nobody wanted it.
Regarding she's actually in my ward. Now, if there is a case there, what it's saying is that if a request for permit zones require the support from the local councillor and the parish council, you may wish to contact them as follows. So it was through to me and Malcolm, as a parish council. So that's what that is. Street. They were wanting a similar type of thing. And what was told to me was they do not support permits anymore. Now we have got them in Blythe because we've got them in Marine Terrace, Middleton Street and Bonnycall. But because they're old, they won't take them away from us. But any new ones will not be supported because I've been fighting to get them on Union Street, especially because of the garages. Because they will not support permit parking. That's the letter there.
I got back in touch with them, I mentioned that, and I says that it costs £3,000 just to get somebody out to look at the area.
It's £2,000.
Anyway, so anybody want to?
Was where's gone from what?
I don't understand, Chair, why this has been put on our committee.
What?
I don't understand why this has been put on our committee. If anyone could explain it.
It should be on the environment, that's what it should be.
Well, as well, another point I just want to raise that I'm just curious because when I look at the email, it goes back all the way to 2021.
Mhm.
So I don't understand why this is being brought up now.
But this, I got an email 2 years ago, and I've got the email in my phone. And this was only brought up by Mrs. Deacon. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I mean, there has been another resident as well raised it that resides in Beaconsfield Street. And they wished it to be discussed. This meeting, the water transport plan issues within the town. It was probably the best opportunity, the earliest opportunity we had to bring it into a lake environment. That's why it's been brought here, they just by a thought, as Kath said, you know, the county are supporting,
Yeah, Jeff, you want to say something?
So, well, Malcolm more or less said it, but the reason it's here, Daniel, is because if we were in support of it, we could put it on the list that we have here.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind that this is a wish list and none of it is going to get done, it seems to me. Well, it's true, it's not a, you know, but that's why it's come, you know, somebody's asked for it. And the people in county all said, oh, well, we don't support it, but you know, the town council might stick it on the list if you ask for it. Well, that's, so, but we're not going to because we don't think it's the best to do. And, you know, inconsiderate parking is a really, really annoying thing. I've lived with it most of my driving life. But particularly in this case, as far as I remember, the person is complaining about customers visiting a business. So, you know, there isn't any way that the council would drive somebody out of a business by trying to control the parking around the place. Because that would just, you know, you couldn't do it. The person who's running the business would have a legitimate reason to complain. The fact that, you know, everybody's paying for the road, everybody through our taxes and our road tax are paying for all the roads. So all of us have got a perfect entitlement to park on them because we're paying for them. So that's it, really.
Yeah.
Jeff's roughly said, things that I was gonna say, it's this come to us because it's a business, and they complain to business. I don't know whether it's possible for us to get in touch with the business to remind them that they are in the middle of a residential street and to act kindly to their neighbours, or whether we don't get involved in anything like that. But when it comes to permits, Kath has just said that county aren't issuing permits, so that's, you know, even if we put it on the LDP, it's not going to happen. And there's a lot of inconsiderate parking in probably 70% of Blythe, and so if they did allow it, they'd just be opening it up to every street asking for it. Pretty much, you know, we've now done permits for the fireworks for part of Blythe for one event, you know, that's setting it up, you know, it's a similar thing. So I think, I don't want to say it's a non-issue because it's a high issue, but it is something that we can't really change, unfortunately. On a different point, and I wanted to say it here, I don't know whether permission was given, but I understand we've all been given the email thread and we're aware of the resident who's complained. But as we are now recording meetings, unless the resident has given their permission to have their name stated on a recording that we're now going to put live, we have GDPR has just been broken. So unless that's been given, can we make sure that part of the recording where her name's been stated is taken out, please?
Yeah, well, she did get in touch with us and say,
I know she's got in touch and we've all been given it, but she hasn't given permission for her name to be in public on a website.
Data protection.
Yeah,
There is two issues there. The first one, but the second one I've referred to, never once mentioned the person's name, so we're clear on that.
no, I know, but I know you said this too, and we haven't been given the second one. It's the one that I could see
Oh,
from
yes.
the email and I was aware, but that's all.
Yes, well,
Thank you.
we're gonna edit.
Thank
that
you.
shortly.
The problem that the issue I've got with this is they're talking about permit parking on Beaconsfield Street. They did have it. We did a trial through Bly Valley Days on it. And it only lasted about, what, 5 years, Grant? It wasn't very long, was it?
Well, it's very contentious.
Yeah.
And people believed at the time that it was the
We're trying to
area that was
support them.
pulled off eventually
Mhm.
was the downfall of Blythe Town Centre.
Yeah, that was right. And it was to help, try and help the Phoenix as well, but they're good residents. But I've got a bigger issue than that, and it is really about the garages on Union Street. I've got residents that live on Union Street from 19 to 35 or something on that side. Now they are affected day in and day out with these garages. There's two garages there now. One of them in particular parks the cars all over, even if you can't drive them, but they're parked everywhere. Now the DVLA has been down. They cannot do nothing about it because they don't work on it. They should be working on the highways. We've already had this out with the police and everybody, because I've had quite a few down there. So nothing is like working. The only thing that would work was a permit parking. But if I start going down not that road, then I have got Coburg Street, Beaconsfield Street, Crown Street. I've got all them going down that road, Carlton Street, they'll all be wanting the same thing. And you just don't know where you can and where you can't, because, I mean, I feel sorry for the residents, I really do. But there's not a great deal we can do. I don't think garages, businesses like that should be in residential areas. It's as simple as that, but I know we can't, and they told me face to face, and they told the resident that we can't give permit parking out anymore.
I know when the permit parking come in, like 5 years ago, it was okay for a year or so, and then people started parking each other's parking bays. Because if you had a permit, you could park at any bay. And then people were getting pushed around the corner, that's what I was told. And you could park, if it's a park permit, you can bay, and you've got a permit ticket, you can park in somebody else's bay, and they park in yours. That's the way it works.
No, it doesn't.
That's the way I was told.
It's registration. They take your registration, you apply for that permit parking for outside your house, and that's your area. If somebody else was to come and park in there, they've probably got, it's policing it. If you park in somebody else's, you can get a ticket.
Right.
Chair, just the matters that have been raised by councillors, but in my eyes, I mean, just my eyes, I haven't seen anybody else's influences here. I think that we as a council should also try to promote the earlier finish of Waterloo Road and the removal of all the items of storage in the car park and all the items in the storage of the car park behind the bus station. Because what's happening is there's not enough space for people. And it causes more competition on the lower numbers in Union Street because because people can't park in the actual car parks. We've got lovely car parks you can't get into, and there's one now opposite the Civic Centre, full of council gear. That council gear is probably handy for them for whatever they're doing up there, and it's probably handy for them the one that's behind, the bottom. Yes, that one, yeah. They're just full of stuff. You can't get in. The few people that do get in are probably staff who work in Blythe, and you can understand why they probably get there early and you can take the spaces. So I can quite understand that there's problems of on-street parking while the public car parks are full of junk from the county council. And it is junk, because there's no, you know, this, that job on Waterloo Road should have been finished, has it been 40 weeks now? Did somebody say earlier, 40 weeks has it been closed? Disgrace if that's true.
Like blue or China.
Okay,
We'll all be using a bike shortly, around soon.
Yeah.
What about this is allowed to be right along the side, it's steady.
Get them stabilised. More try, yeah.
Maybe off them again, refer them to that one council. That's
Take the-
me.
Get the skydivers.
Just wait to get yes.
we'll go on to the next one. Local transport plan, I think John was going to.
Yeah, just a local transport plan. We get this every year. We've got our top three proposals in, but I'll be in by Friday, the 27th of September. Just to remind you, last year, the three we put in were the zebra crossing, I think it was one on Plessy Road and Park Road on that corner. There was Red Street, Durban Street, Disraeli Street resurfacing, and a path between Fulmer Drive and Sandringham Drive. So I think the year before that, we said we just wanted to see 20-mile-an-hour speed limits around all the schools, so to send out that list, which is just a wish list that anybody can write to the county and say, I've got an idea, I want some of the other lines, and it just goes on that list. So you can choose things off that list, but you don't have to. You can put any scheme you like in.
Yeah.
But it has to be in before next Friday. And I mean, I don't know whether we've read through them. There's probably things in your area, but you know, some of them you wonder if it's worthwhile, you know, putting double yellow lines down. Unless it's police, it ain't gonna do much good, you know. You know, that people want roads narrowed, want wide, and all sorts of things. You get disagreements, but tonight, because this was the only suitable meeting really before the 27th, put it on the agenda for this meeting. Didn't always used to come to this meeting, but it's really just picking three choices, either off that list or anything else you want to put in. And we'll send those three off. We don't have to send three. Can't send more than three.
Sorry, Chair, the one I wanted on is not even on this sheet. There's some little things on there that's quite cool for the Croft Ward. But I would like to get the home zone back on TP. I'm fighting everybody for the home zone, Tanya. The home zone again. I'm fighting everybody for this home zone on the LTP, which is in the Croft Ward, which is the streets. They're sinking now. I had a portfolio down in February, March. And what he said to me was he had pot of money over that he was going to use in the Cotton Key area. I've never seen it yet. And the roads are just getting moved. So it's the main roads that's going in and out of Cotton Key through the home zone. They're a mess, absolute mess, and they need to do it. I've told you everything.
Right, so John is dead right, this isn't a list that the county council have produced. All this is, it's people who contacted the county council
Right.
and said, I want this. So it's not, you know, officers haven't, it's in no
residents.
particular order. It is just what the residents of Blythe have asked to be put in the LTP. So, you know, as John says, take it or leave it. Third from the bottom, I just don't understand that. Takeaway shop.
It's a request for bollards or planters on footpath to stop parking to access takeaway shop.
So that's
It's the
that
top
first,
bit.
that first sentence is attached to that, is it?
Yeah. And it's the mirror pizza.
Right,
on
okay,
here as
so-
well.
So what I would say, if you're asking me, my top three priorities would be, one would be some sort of pedestrian crossing on the bit of rotary way between Amersham and Plessy. And the thing that we've wanted for donkey's years is something from South Shore to the bandstand. Those would be the two things that I would think that would help. Double yellow lines and all the rest, stuff on this list, you'll find that it is, there isn't any organisation behind this, it's just people who, you know, think putting double yellow lines on Curlew is somehow gonna solve the traffic problem, and it doesn't. You know, it took me about 5 years to get double yellow lines on bits of Peckle and down the back of Dunlan and all the rest of that stuff. Nobody takes any notice of it because, you know they're not police, but hey, you know, that's what people wanted, so we'll try and give them, you know, we'll try and help. So those, I can't think of the third one right now, but two things I would like to see is the crossing that's been promised for over a decade between South Shore and the bandstand, and some sort of either a zebra crossing or between the one that exists between Rotary Way and Plessy Road.
Yeah, if you only put 3 in from the town council, and I want the home zone in.
Well,
They come
that's
to-
right.
He wants straight put in his new tree.
Two. I want you to put it.
My mind's the third one then.
I finished yet? Right, Caitlin?
I think, Jeff, on that one for the zebra crossing between South Shore and the bandstand, and I don't know whether it's still there or not, but it certainly when when Daniel got elected, the money in theory was there in the member scheme from Leslie.
But all
But
that
then
got ditched.
he kept saying it's not needed when actually it is, and we found that when the works were going on with the development at the beach and that pedestrian crossing was actually moved further down, it was actually really helpful for a lot of people, so it did prove by
Yeah,
putting it there that that second one is needed. So I agree with that one. The other one that I think, I don't know that it's for this or not, but I said it before, is signage or whatever highways stuff is needed for Rotary Way for the 30, because you enter Rotary Way from either the Links Road, South Newson Road, like from Rotary Way roundabout. You get the big 30 signs there, and obviously from Plessy Road, it was already a 30. But then there's nothing on the road, there's no painted 30s, there's no little 30 reminder signs that there used to be when it was a 40.
It's a 40.
There's still,
Still a 40 there.
It's a 40.
it's not a 40.
It
It was, yeah, that's the problem. It was a 40. It changed months ago, and people forget that it's a 30, even though there are new signs saying 30.
Never read the national application for it. I've just reset my road computer on my car. It shows you the speeds that have been applied for and set nationally on roads. That is still a 40.
Well, no, it's not.
According to Google Maps, whenever I've got that on, it still says 40, but obviously it is a 30.
It is definitely 30.
It's definitely
Yeah,
30, but it's clearly not.
Not part of the
Finished.
national road network.
Can I just say on that, Chip, what you could do is probably just link those, if county don't like it, to tell them what the answer is. Want to know if there's a problem, so you say there's a problem with speed and traffic on
Exactly.
Rotary Way, more signs will be helpful and a crossing of some description.
Exactly.
You leave it up to county to tell you what the answer is.
Yeah.
Grant?
Yeah, I fully support the crossing near the bandstand and the home zone. Home zone, the whole road structure is destroyed by the trees that were planted, and it's in a really bad
Traffic.
state. But the reason I would support the one down the bandstand is it's within my report. The use of cycling routes from Farrington along Labrador Road, which will be retained even when, if there's a dual carriage built in a 3-horseshoe roundabout. That is going to use part of cycle route 1, which runs on the bandstand side of that highway. People need to access that. And to come from South Beach onto the highway, onto the cycle route 1, and then that will be the easiest way to do it, will be the safest way, will be to come across the crossings that are already there on Rotary Way and go through the estate and then cross again on the next crossing. I think that's a very safe route. But it is part of this network and should be covered by the cost of whatever's going on with government money from the other side of life.
Yeah, that's,
Just a question really. I had a telephone call regarding Newcastle Road about the humps that have been put on there. Martin, do you know anything about that?
Heard anything, no?
Well, apparently there's been speeding humps put on the Newcastle Road.
South
And
Newsham Road.
It's South Newsham Road.
it's South Newsham Road, is it?
It's come out of councillor Humphrey's members scheme, as far as I'm aware. It's been an ongoing discussion following an accident a couple of years ago with a bus. Is that right? And as far as I'm aware, there has been consultation, and that's why it's taken a couple of years, but it has come from his member scheme.
yeah, I know with them, because we went across the other day and they're quite wide and they just catch the tyres. So you have to really slow down or else you're gonna whip your tyre up.
Well, apparently people are now driving it in the middle of the road because of the humps, because they're too high and they're too wide. So it's causing a lot of problems up there. I wanted to speak to you before this meeting, Martin, but as it's come up, I thought I'd better bring it up now.
Thanks.
You,
Sorry, Chair. I was
Just
trying
reading
to find my emails to confirm it, but the crossing we're referring to that councillor Rigby put in, you've already done, I think. It's there.
There is one.
Yeah, because you know where the island crossing is outside of Greaves, that was the one that the council put in when they transformed the road for the new entrance to where the retail park is, the beach. So that island crossing there is actually the one that I think you're referring to. Because it's in my LTP, I just couldn't get the email.
There should, in my view, there should be a crossing that takes people from South Shore to Afghanistan. That's that people come out there and cross the road.
But there's not actually a crossing.
Yeah, but I think that's the reason why they said we rejected the initial proposal was because the island crossing they put there, even though it wasn't directly opposite the bandstand, which I think you're right. But like I say, the one that's got there 3 years ago is the one that they put in, which is.
That was already there, they replaced it.
That was definitely put in 3 years ago when they changed the layout.
It was, but they just, there was already a crossing there.
yeah,
So when they re-put that one back in and put like the stop in the middle of it, they said they didn't need that further one, but we said they did.
Greece.
Right, Chair, even if you put that in, county would do a traffic survey, people survey, to see how many people cross the road, and if there aren't enough, they won't put it in.
You never check the rates.
And so we've got our three choices on it. Home zone,
Home zone, not warm zone.
I said home zone. The one was what was the other one?
The Rotary Way and the crossing and.
Got them.
There was two from Jeff,
One zone.
one from you then. And Caitlin mentioned the 30-mile-an-hour signage, which we're gonna try to incorporate within that.
Yeah. So yeah, that whole kind of, that just the whole, a little bit.
So we'll roll it 4 into 3.
Three along Rotary and took an extra sign, but
Right.
and how it is the.
Right, and item 8, the delegated actions of none. Any other business?
No.
Date and time of next meeting, 26th of September, 24. Thank you.
It's.
Well, bye. For the next.
About 5 minutes.
I think we need 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We're gonna start the community funding in about 5 minutes, if anybody wants to use the facility for more coffee and.
And do that, but I can do it in 10 seconds if you like.
Yeah.
It's the call. One for
Yes, from the.